Just for the record, today is August 15th, 2001, and I'm here with Martha Halder Carter, and we're going to...
Yes, my name was Halder, my first, and my dear friends, my dear dad and mother took care of that Marshall Center for years out there.
Oh,
They
Was-
were, what do you call them when they,
like a district manager or something?
well, they always hired the teachers and they scrubbed the school, the house, and
Mhm.
mowed, and
Okay. Now, do you know how many years they did that?
how many what?
How many years they did that? How many years they were managers of the Marshall Center School?
Oh, honey, oh, more, at least 10. I wouldn't be, yeah.
What, were they elected to that, or did they just choose
They
to?
were yeah, that the neighbors or whoever it was
Mhm.
kind of voted for them.
Okay. Well, let me show you some things.
Let's
This-
do what there?
This is for you to keep,
Oh,
and this has information about our museums at the University of Northern
you
Iowa.
know, I've never seen it. My brothers and sisters, a lot of us, they went to school there. I don't know why, honey, when they moved it away, and my sisters and brothers got to go, but I don't know why I didn't that time.
Oh.
I was in Illinois for a little bit of my life, and that
Oh.
might have been what I've never seen it. And
Oh.
I always said that's one thing I wanted to see, but I never will get to now.
Huh. Well, you will in a way here. I wanted to show you some information. Let me pull some of this out for you. This is a photograph of our Natural History Museum, but this is how the Marshall Center School looks now.
Yes, is it? That's the way it looks now.
Uh-huh. That's how it looks now. Now, I'm curious, do you remember the shutters being on there?
I don't think so.
Huh.
We had we had a coal stove. We had a thing in the back here that you can't see that, where the coal,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, here's some inside pictures.
oh,
There's one inside. Now, can you tell me what looks right or anything that maybe looks wrong to you?
well, there was wainscoting part way up.
Yeah?
All right, my dear mother papered that top twice
Oh.
of that down there. She papered it twice, sweetie.
Huh. Do you remember when those years would have been?
I don't, honey. It's long ago, 'cause I'm
Yeah.
91.
Yeah.
And I was going to Marshall Center then. I went 8 years to Marshall Center.
Okay. Now, do you remember what color the wainscoting was?
Honey, I don't.
Okay. That's all right.
I remember a lot of things, but that I don't. And one thing, there was an old piano there,
Mm-hmm.
and I played that piano for everything that they had there. When they sang, or when they it had recess every so often.
Uh-huh.
Well, when it's time for recess, I had to play, and they went out to play,
Oh, so you kind of marched them out the door?
Yeah,
Ah.
yeah. And at Christmas time and that, we had, we put up made kind of a thing inside, like with sheets, just,
Oh.
and
okay.
and had a kind of a entertainment for the parents and that,
Mm-hmm.
and I played for all that stuff.
Do you remember what the activities were? I mean, did you put on a play at Christmas or?
Gee, not really too much. Now I don't. But there's other things that I remember. You know, we had no water there. Maybe you don't want to know this.
Oh no, that's
Well,
everything you can remember.
all right. We didn't have no well or anything, see, honey. So each day, two of us took a bucket and we went to the neighbor that was real close there. That was nice.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one of those water coolers that you have. And we brought back that bucket of water and put it in the water cooler. That's what we had for water.
Just one bucket of water?
Yeah, each day,
Okay.
see?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Huh.
And, well, they had outside toilets, but that don't make no cut no ice, does it? You know what, I'll tell you, but my dear dad, he every time it was Halloween,
Uh-huh.
honey, they dump over them things.
Yes, the outhouses.
And honey, my dear father got smart on that too. And you know what he done? He put a post on each side with the wire over the top.
Oh.
Then they couldn't. I told the kids, I said, I'm going to tell you that, but you don't want to put it in there. And each time they couldn't dump it over there. See?
He was smart.
Well, he was. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They here, and we had, you know, had one for the boys and one for the girls, and
Now, someone said if you were facing the school, that the boys' outhouse would have been to the left, and the girls would have been to the right.
right. You're right.
Okay.
You're right. You're right on
Okay.
that, sweetie. It
Okay.
is. The schoolhouse was facing the south,
Mm-hmm.
and the toilets were too, but they was back far enough that they
Okay.
maybe I not very good to tell you.
No,
stuff.
no, that makes sense. Were they in the far corners of the lot, or were they a little further in?
They were more in the back farther,
Okay. Okay.
cause the schoolhouse didn't set right in the middle of that square either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where did it sit?
Well, it's set a little more back than it did. You know, they came in to the south,
Mm-hmm.
drove in when they would bring us to school, or if there was snow or anything like that. My father always cleaned from the south,
Oh.
and we had a cement thing across the front of it. There's a show on here.
Okay. We've got a
Yeah,
wooden.
it does kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was cement.
But it was cement. Now
Yeah.
we made a wood one. We thought it was wood. But
It might have been. Now maybe it might have been way back.
okay.
But the last I remember, it was cement.
Okay.
Yeah, and it had two doors in front here, one on. Let's see, what else here can I tell you?
What else was in the schoolyard?
What?
Else was in the schoolyard? Were there any other buildings?
No, only on the back of the school there was where they had the coal in it.
Right. Okay.
The dear teacher had to fire the, you know.
Uh-huh.
And another thing that was I can remember, and I think we all do, is, honey, in the winter when it was cold,
Mm-hmm.
you see, we had that coal stove,
Right.
and it was pretty high up. In the winter, the dear mothers took turns, and they made a thing of soup, a big thing of soup, and brought that for us, and we had hot soup at noon.
And that was just in the winter time.
And just in the winter when it was real bad, because you know that big school, and then just that one stove there, it wasn't too warm in there.
It had to be cold.
Yes, it was, dear.
Huh.
It was.
And then did you each have cups?
We had our own. We had our own bowl and that.
Okay.
And then we sat at our desk. The
Mm-hmm.
teacher would give us and we sat at our desk and ate it. And
What were the cups or bowls made of? Were they tin or?
no, I think the way I remember, they were just bowls that we brought from home.
Oh.
They
okay.
weren't. They didn't all match or nothing, honey.
Yeah, they were
No,
like
they didn't match.
ceramic cups or.
Yeah, just kind of. I don't know.
Just ordinary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the mothers would bring it hot. But if we weren't quite ready, the teacher'd set it on top of the stove so it'd stay warm. You know. It was always nice and hot. And my dad was pretty handy. Maybe that's why everybody wanted him to do that all the time, bless his heart. He put us in a telephone out there. And
Yes.
at that time, there was no electric. But you had to have batteries in the telephone, sweetie,
Oh.
in order to ring it, see? It was one of them long, them long ones, maybe you know.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it was. But you had to have batteries in there or it wouldn't ring, because, see, there was no
Okay.
electric out there for a good many years.
Yep. Huh.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember what year he put that in? Or about what year? Were you a student then when he put it in?
Was I what?
A student at the school
Oh,
when
sure.
he put it in?
I was as near as I can remember, sweetie, I was always at that school.
Mhm.
See, I'm 91, and I'm one of the first one that was there, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the phone was there when you were a student? Or
My
part of
dad
the
put
time.
it in, but when I was already in school there.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. See, he was oh, I tell you, sweetie, I had a stroke and one time, and that kind of took some of this away from me. He was I want to say administrator, but that ain't what it is. It's something when people take care of something and
Like a manager or a.
yeah, something like that.
Okay. All right.
And of course, they always had to scrub the floor, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Not every week, but they cleaned everything real good when school first started
Mm-hmm.
and that, and then, you know, not every week, and the teacher swept it every night. The teacher swept it with the broom,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see. What can I? One thing we always had that we always looked forward to when school was out, they had kind of a picnic.
Oh.
And
Okay.
and all the mothers and everybody. Well, that's one thing. You know, kids, they look forward to that.
Oh yeah.
And honey, there was one. This don't mean nothing in there, but there was one lady, and her name. Now I miss her name now too. She always made raisin pie.
Oh.
I'll never forget that. I always thought, now, we'll have raisin pie, and we always did.
That's good. When it's made well,
Honey,
it's very good.
And it was good. It
Uh-huh.
was good. She was a very good cook.
Now, did the mother made everything, and then the families came over, and you had spent the whole day at this picnic?
Kinda like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we ate, we was inside, 'cause so we had something place to set our
Mm-hmm.
meal and
Mm-hmm.
everything like that.
Okay. Did you have special games
Special what, dear?
that you played that day, or special activities for
No,
the picnic?
the most games that I ever remember that we played what they call ante over the
Yeah.
schoolhouse. Some of us they got on each side, and then
Mhm.
they throw ante over the ball.
But that's a tall schoolhouse to throw a ball over.
It was, but we got it over there all the time. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Did you play fox and geese?
Sometime, yeah.
What about uh, oh,
Ball,
baseball?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
There was a game that someone told me about called I'm in Tommy something's territory, and you drew a circle. Someone stood in the center, and the rest of the kids
Ring around the rosary.
No,
No?
they stood outside the circle, and then they'd try to put their foot in. And if the person in the center caught you, they would try to tag you. It was kind of like playing tag, but you were inside of the circle. That's not familiar.
Yes. No, like
No?
I say, I'm
Okay.
some of these that was they're later in that and younger. They probably remember. I bet Helen would remember quite a bit. Oh,
Okay.
she's the sweetest person. I just
She
love
is
her.
nice.
She is, dear.
Yeah.
And
Very
and
nice.
like I told you, she had older sisters, and back there, sweetie, they went just to summer school a little bit, and then they taught.
Oh.
See, that's way back. See,
Yeah. Now, did she room at your house?
No, most of the time, those Helen sisters, of course they stayed at their own home,
Sure.
and no, yes, they did stay at different homes.
But it was always
They
different.
never stayed at our place because we had a house full of kids anyway. That was real nice anyway, bless her heart. Yeah.
Okay. You've mentioned something else I was going to ask you about.
We planted some trees there.
Oh, did you?
Oh yes.
Do you remember
They're
where
all
you...
gone now, but they got pretty nice.
So the students actually planted them?
Us kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Do you remember where you put them?
We put them in the corners of the school thing was square, see?
Uh-huh.
And we got them out pretty far.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were in the corners.
Yeah.
That the north corners. Back behind the outhouses? Would that be?
No, the outhouses wasn't out that far. There was quite a bit of room between them and the fence then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a metal gate on the front that when we didn't have in the summer and that,
Mm-hmm.
my dad had that closed and
Oh, so you had a fence around the whole schoolyard.
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, had a fence around the whole thing.
Okay. And then the gate was on the south side.
That was on the south side, sweetie. Yeah.
Okay. And but the trees would have been in all four corners that you planted?
Yeah, it was kind of that. I remember that.
Okay.
I think they're gone now. There's nothing. You know that they still got that square fenced off
Yes.
out here.
Uh-huh. And I talked to Stub Lindquist, and the Lindquists don't want to put anything on there. They want to leave it
Yes,
in
because
memory of the school.
the people that live in the house east of it are the
Mm-hmm.
one that own that land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they donated it to the
Yeah.
university.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So, huh. Um, well, I think I know where you lived, but let me see if I have it right. You have in here a map, and this is the Marshall Center School,
Yes.
okay? And I have been told that the Tools lived here, and the Cundiffs lived here, and that you were up here somewhere.
Yes, and when my father, we was on the north side of that section, or they call it section, I think. We were on the north side, kind of in the middle. My dad only owned an 80 then, but he rented some ground someplace else. But we were in the middle of that and had just an 80.
Okay.
So we walked a mile north and a half a mile east
Okay.
to get home.
Okay. So you would have been then up in this area.
Yes.
Okay. And then Edmonds lived down here.
Let's see now. Edmonds, Edmonds lived west of us, and pretty far west in the next kind of square in the next section.
Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense then.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, there was boys, older boys, Edmonds had too, and some of those older boys even went to school back there.
Ah.
Not so long,
Mhm.
but they did, sweetie.
Ha. Do
Yeah,
you
well,
remember?
Well, honey, that was
Well,
the
sure.
only place to go to school.
Yeah. And they
That-
wanted to get their degree.
And then I graduated from Lorenz here
Mhm.
in 24.
Oh, okay. Let me check the camera here just real quick. Yeah. Okay, so you graduated from Lawrence. You went for 8 years to Marshall
Yes,
Center.
then I went 4 years in Lorenz, but I didn't ride the bus. My parents were out of the territory, so I worked 4 years for my board and
Oh,
went to school
huh. Where did you work?
for Elmer and Sadie Convey. Elmer and Sadie Convey. He was a mail carrier.
Hmm.
They had 2 children, and like I say, honey, I didn't get to do much stuff that the other kids done because I was working for my board too.
Sure.
See, ironing and helped Sadie, and then my dear mother used to bring rolls of butter and stuff in and give her on top of.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they were real nice people. In 4 years, I've stayed with them for 4 years, you know, during the school part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, they were real nice. Their name was Elmer and Sadie Convey. And I can't remember the kids' names now, but they had a boy and a girl. It seemed like the boy's name was Elmer, but I don't know, sweet. That I don't know.
Okay. Hmm. Did you get into Lorenz very often when you were a child? Did you go in with your mother or father, come into town?
Well, we went to the Catholic Church in Lorenz.
Oh, okay.
My grandma and they they built the first Catholic church there in Lorenz,
Hmm.
and it didn't cost very much money, honey.
Hmm.
Yes, sir. Then they made that bigger. That didn't go with this though. It made it bigger, and then I don't know if you notice now. Now we have a real nice church there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we have a good bit of money in that too. So,
Yeah.
or I do. My
Yeah.
my husband's gone. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yes, Lorenz is, and the school, sweetie. That you're interested in that, but you know we just had that school now. You know how that big that school is here. My gosh, honey, we just had a square thing in the middle, and we never had no electric or nothing. See,
Yeah.
and we there no nothing to keep stuff cold. You know, we had a thing in the window,
Mm-hmm.
and see what else gonna tell you. Oh, at each day we had the best domestic science teacher in the world. Her name was Bertha Ravy. And honey, I still do things like I learned from her. And you know, each day we cooked for the teachers and everything. We set the table. We really did it right.
Mm-hmm.
We set the table and everything, and then we got our dinner because we stayed and cleaned up everything and washed the dishes and everything. And we
Yeah.
got our
Well, when you were at the Marshall School, do you remember all of your teachers at Marshall?
I don't, dear. We had one man teacher, and I can see him, but I can't remember his name. No, names kind of got away from me. There was, then,
Harrison
now
Bushy?
Helen Edmonds, I think, sweetie, there was a couple of her sisters that
Mm-hmm.
was teachers there.
Esther was your teacher in 1917.
Way
And
back, yeah. Esther
and Marie Edmonds was in 1919 until 1921.
yeah, see, so that took up quite a bit of the time there.
Yeah. And the man you were probably thinking of was Harrison Bushy.
Who?
Harrison Bushy. Bushy.
I don't know. I can see him, but I can't.
Well, I bet I can even show you what he looked like. Is that him?
It sure is, dear. Yes, sir. Oh, all these kids.
That was a picture taken at Marshall Center School in 1918 when he was a teacher there.
Well, I should be on here then, shouldn't I?
Well, yes you should. Let's just see. There's a list back here of everyone. Whoops. Let's see. While you're looking at that, I'll look for your name. That's you.
That looks like my mug.
Well, this is a lovely little coat you have on. It looks like it has fur around the edge.
Well, if I
Little
remember
cape.
right, my mother was a real good seamstress, and she made a lot of my clothes.
Did
and
you?
I was the oldest one in our family.
Oh,
I was the oldest one.
okay.
Well, by golly, sweetie,